If you want to participate, contact me at ordinarywomenpodcast@gmail.com. I'm sure you have great projects to brag about. You can also follow me and message me on Instagram at ordinarywomenpodcast, on Twitter at ordinarywomenpc, or on Facebook on the page Ordinary Women. Hi everyone, welcome to a new episode of Ordinary Women. I'm with Thuha today. Hi and welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I'm very excited to have you here today. Do you want to start by giving us a quick introduction of yourself?
Yeah, sure. So my name's Thuha. I am a paid search specialist. I've been working in paid search since 2006, and I'm just really passionate about meeting other women and helping them out, and all of that jazz. So hopefully I'll get to talk about some of the things I've been up to in this podcast.
Definitely super excited to hear everything you have to say. Because obviously here we talk a lot about what it's like to be a woman. I like to start by asking, was there a moment or an event in your life when you realized that you are a woman?
I can think of a few. I guess the most significant one that leads to what I wanted to talk about today was, I guess, like when I became a mum the first time. So I have two little girls, one's 8 and another's 2, and it's not like when I became a mum and my priorities changed and all of this jazz, like not in that way. It was more, I became more aware that as a woman we sacrifice a lot. So we sacrifice, like we have to give up something about our career, a little bit about ourselves or our friends, or how we spend our time. Not saying having kids is awful. It's just the reality is, as a woman, we have to take on a lot of the mental load. I don't know how single parents do this, but yeah, it's just having that and trying to figure out, okay, how do you fit a full-time job into your life, and how do you get support from other people and things like that. So yes, that has a profound effect on me.
Yeah, I can't even imagine. I don't have kids, planning on not having any.
I'm not a walking advertisement for it
either. And do you still? I felt that this is something that is heard sometimes from moms. Like, do you manage to still? I don't want to say like be yourself and be a mom, because obviously you are a mom, so it's like you're yourself. But you know what I mean? Like, still
like you're
do things for you.
Yeah, it's so hard. It's really hard. I am rubbish at doing it. I'll be the first to admit, and it's no good. It does my mental well-being no good at all, and I have to make a really concerted effort to make time for myself or do things for me, just to help me find myself again. And it's something that so many women talk about as well, like how hard it is to have time for themselves. So they really do need to lean on other people, and sometimes that's hard, having to ask for help as well. So yeah, I don't do it very well, but I know that other people, other women struggle as well. But yeah, I've recently learned to try and reach out to those people and try and find some common ground and try and help each other out. So for instance, recently a friend and I we started a craft club type thing. So every Thursday we meet up and we're just making crafties, like jewelry or baubles or chocolate fudge the other week, just to put in our Christmas hampers that we're going to gift to people. But it was just a good excuse really for us to get away from it all. We can hide in her conservatories. There's no children bothering us, but that's quite hard to organise in itself, because not all the mums are available at the same time, and it's like managing bedtimes and things like that. So, but yeah, it's something we've had to do recently.
Yeah, that's so nice that you're doing that. But yeah, it's funny that it's quite paradoxical that you have to add a bit of almost workload in the organization bit to get free time. But yeah, I'm glad you managed to do that, and that sounds like a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, it is. Yeah, yeah. But you've
That's,
hit the nail on the head there. Like, yes, there is extra effort, but I would say the extra effort is worth it, even though it doesn't feel like it. It's like going to the gym. Trying to start going to the gym is like, the thought is awful, but yeah, once you're doing it, it's good.
well, I'm glad that you managed to have that for yourself.
Me too.
And did you grow up with any feminine role model or female role model?
I actually don't remember growing up with the role model, and I think it's because, being Chinese, I went to school in the UK. I grew up in the UK, and there weren't many other Chinese people either in the community. I think I remember, like, being at school, there was only one other Chinese person in the whole school. So there wasn't anybody really that looked like me, and there wasn't really anybody in the UK culture that looked like me. I mean, that's changing a lot now, because, like, you've got Michelle Yeoh, you've got Gemma Chan, you've got Constance Wu, Orkafina, like, look, lots more people, but there wasn't really anyone that looked like me, which has led me to the thing what I want to talk about today. But these days I really look up to someone like Michelle Obama. Like, I loved her book Becoming, and the way she talks about, basically she talks about squiggly careers and being open to changing and things like that. Like, a lot of her outlook to life is very similar to mine. So yeah, so I really liked her book. It's good.
That's great. Do you have any other female role models today?
No, not really. I take inspiration from other people. So this actually leads nicely to what I wanted to talk about today. So basically, like, in the industry that I work in, it's always changing. There's the talent pool is also quite small, isn't there's always a skills shortage in paid search, or PPC as it's sometimes called, so pay-per-click advertising. And I found that, so I was in a corporate job basically until about 4 years ago or 5, and then I went out of freelancing basically. And I found when I was freelancing, I needed the support I wanted support from other women who were going through the same things as I was, and having that challenge, as it were. Not because I value female voices more, it was just the male voices I was hearing, they all presented one solution to freelancing. But as I spoke to more and more people, I realised that actually there's a diverse way of freelancing. There's not one way of doing it. And actually, I did have my own podcast called We Make It Work, where I interviewed other people, and they talked about how they freelanced, and every single person went into freelancing in a different way, and they do freelancing in a different way. There was not one set way. And that's why I think it's important to connect with other people in our industry. And women, there's not that many who are loud and have a presence, or visible even. And so that's why a friend and I, Anu, she did have a Women in PPC Slack community that she started a few years ago, and basically we've recently revived it, and we're trying to get more and more people who works in paid media to come in and join the community, and it's a safe place basically where we can ask questions and network with other people, and people who like where we can share our frustrations with each other. And I mean, I'll give you a great example of that community and why I think it's so important. So we were just like myself and another member of the community. She said it was all right for me to share the story, but basically we were just having a chat and what have you, and I could tell from the messages that she wasn't having a great time at work, and something underlying wasn't very good. And then she reached out to me in LinkedIn actually, and she said to me, I think I'm going through like terminating my contract at work. I don't know what to do. I don't know what my rights are. Now, for me, I'm like, I've not been in that situation before exactly. But because I've been chatting to her in the Slack group and she reached out to me in my DMs with this, I just thought, oh, this is like someone who's crying for help, but I don't know how to help them. So I said, look, listen, like, we just exchanged numbers before actually, because we were going to connect over the phone to give each other support because we were going through similar things. So I just rang her straight away and I said, look, I just got your message on LinkedIn. Is this a good time to talk? And she was like, yes. And I was like, are you okay? And then we just had a chat and she was telling me everything like was happening. And I said to her, oh, you know what? When you sent me the message, I thought I wouldn't be able to help, but actually I have been in a similar situation. So I was able to tell her about pylon and like statutory redundancy laws and like what to look into, and basically make sure she knew what she was rightfully entitled to, basically, and not feel walked over and just walk away from this horrible job that was very toxic to her, but in a very dignified manner. And yes, she said she was so grateful that she had someone to talk to. And I was like, I almost didn't reply to her message because I at first I thought I didn't have anything, I knew nothing to help her. But this is why it's so important. It's just to reach out to other people and see other people in similar situations. So another example is I went to a PPC event in London. It's the first like PPC Live. It's called PPC Live UK basically, and it's an event where PPC professionals like myself can basically go and listen to some diverse range of speakers. So it's not the same people that you always see like at an SEO event or what have you. These are like different names that I'm seeing, female, different ethnic minorities, all of that, very diverse. So I met a mum there who started freelancing, and she was telling me her story, not like her life story, but about her. But basically, she was describing me, and I was like, I found someone else who's like me, and I was like, oh, you need to join this Women in PPC community. And she was like, oh, I'm already in it. So now we're like chatting, and we're like
nice.
just like it's nice knowing that there's other people who are like you and who are facing the same challenges and what have you. So I guess the short answer to your question, do I have a role model? You'll be all the women in PPC basically, and I want to meet more of them and connect to more of them. And yeah, if we can help each other out, that'd be brilliant.
Definitely. And I find like more and more that the minute you start talking about something to someone, there's always something they can bring, even as you just say, like, and the same goes around, you know, like someone will start to say something like, I feel that I don't help, but then either you can help because you actually have something similar, or you know someone who've been through that and you can connect, which is basically what you're doing also with this channel, like with this community, which is amazing.
Yeah, definitely.
I have one more question before we jump more on your on this about being a woman, having role models. But how do you think that the lack of representation of women in society or people who look like you, as you said before, impacted you?
I guess that the impact has been like, I guess when you look at the negative side of it, it makes you feel a bit like lonely or demotivating, and it's kind of like, oh, I have no one to, I don't actually know if I can get there, and because no one else has done it, or it's too hard to do it. But then the other side of it kind of makes you hungry, and then I guess it depends on the people you meet, but I've been really lucky in my life where people have said, well, why can't you be that person that people look up to and what have you? So yes, it's very like, oh, I don't know if I've answered the question. Have I answered the question?
And do you think you've became that person that some people look up to?
I think I have, but not intentionally. And it's just really by me just talking to everyone and and just talking about what I do and what have you. But yeah, I think some people do look up to me. I don't know whether they look up to me because they're like, they see someone who's Chinese and making work for themselves. But yeah, I think as a woman, people have been like, oh yeah, I can do this.
Yeah, that's really cool. Thank you so much for sharing.
No worries. I think with people, I think I share a lot of my mistakes and where I've gone wrong, and I think people appreciate that, so they know not to make the same mistake as I did.
Yeah, and it also shows that you're human and that I feel that, especially with role models or like celebrities, I know at least I tend to put them on a pedestal a lot of time. Be like, oh, this person is perfect. They would never. And I can never be to that level, and almost because of this, I can't like do something. And so sharing your mistake, I feel, is also like demystifying that and saying, oh wait, she did amazing things. Maybe I can do something, even if not as amazing, like something at least good too. I feel that there is a bit of demystification around that, around being vulnerable and opening about the mistake you've made.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And so jumping back on this community that you've created, so you mentioned that you created it years ago and then kind of revived it lately. So how did it happen first? Like, how did you create it?
Okay, so just to correct you, I haven't created it. It was already a Slack community that was already built. It had a few members in there already, but they'd kind of like, it kind of went dormant because I guess if you don't keep consistent engagement, that community like goes quiet. So I met Anu through, she's very active on LinkedIn and Twitter, and particularly with LinkedIn, that's where I do most of my social media to get my business from. And so I started following her, and then she became president of the Paid Search Association board. And earlier in the year, in 2022, and she basically noticed that there was hardly any females on the board. And so she just put a call out and said, look, I want more females on the board. Who wants to join in? And about a handful of us women like put our hands up, including myself. And I took on the role of secretary on that board. So then I ended up working with Anu quite closely. And one day I just mentioned to her that one of the things that I really want to start is a community for women in PPC. I'm just like, I have this already, it just needs reviving. So then she invited me in, and we just started talking about it on social media, and people wanted a link to join, which is how you would join us, like if you DM'd us on LinkedIn. But everyone I met who works in PPC and is a woman, like they're always like, "Oh, you need to join this community," and yeah, and I come and like joining the conversations. But yeah, sometimes we're asking each other like technical questions, but sometimes it can just be very practical questions like, I'm interested in speaking for this event. What's your advice on how we do it and what have you? So yeah, it's very, very like open space, like for anything really.
That's so cool. And so how did you create that community? As in like, so you said you posted on social media. Did you, I don't know, how did you grow that?
So I wouldn't say it's like a fully fledged community. I think it's still growing, but it is really just that conversation with other people and trying to get them to use it so that they can then recommend other people to come and join the community. So with maintaining the engagement, we do have to be part of it quite a bit. Like we have to be quite active in it. I mean, Anu was doing really great. She was organising once a month what she called sip and share, where like we all jumped on a Zoom call one evening and we could just talk about whatever we wanted to talk about for an hour. And it could be something very, very technical, or yeah, it could just be, oh, this client was like such a headache or what have you. But yes.
That's so cool. And how do you maintain engagement?
I guess it's just listening to what the members are asking about. Like even if we don't know the answer, it's the important thing is just acknowledging that they're there, and also just trying to get everybody else involved in terms of helping each other out. And but yeah, I would say engagement is it's very difficult, and keeping a community engaged is difficult. I don't think we've nailed it yet, but I'm hoping that there'll be more women who share the same passion as myself, like who love our job, but also want to meet other women and lift other people up too. And I hope that I'll find some more people who will do that and help us run the community and help it be the community that I'm envisaging it should be.
That's super cool. And so who is it, like any women in PPC can participate, or is it, I don't know, who's the target audience?
So at the moment it's women who are actively working in PPC. However, if you are trying to dip your toes in it or want to learn, then I would say definitely join in and come in, because there's a wealth of experience in that community already. Like there's people working in corporate companies, there's people working for themselves, people working with different industries. So whether it's travel, retail, finance, or what have you, there's lots of people in there. So I would say, and a lot of people have a lot of experiences that they can share. And so I think if you're starting out in that world, it's a good place to be. And especially if you're female and you're thinking like, oh, I need to swim above like all these men around us.
Cool. And how did you restart it? So like it was a bit low in engagement. What steps did you take to restart and revive this community?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that we've nailed it, but it's just testing and doing like just testing, see what people are engaged with. So I think I went through a period where I was trying to get everyone to share their wins for the week, and so then we could celebrate each other and cheer each other on. Or there'll be like sharing goals, like what we're trying to achieve that week, and sometimes it'll be helpful because other people are like have the same goals or similar goals, or they've done it before and they can help. But yeah, it's all about basically celebrating or cheering people on, and what have you. And like you mentioned earlier, it's just treating people like humans, and giving them the sense that they're not alone and they have people that they can lean on, basically.
That's so cool. That's so helpful and useful. Do you have a souvenir of someone that, a memory, sorry, of someone who was helped through this community, like something that marked you because it was a great story of community helping?
Apart from the story I had earlier where I could tell someone was stressed, I'm just trying to think, because the conversations, I don't know whether I can talk about them on a
Of course.
podcast, but I'll pick one that was myself. So I recently I put up a LinkedIn post recently, and I had someone write something in the comments, a connection that I didn't know, because I just add anyone on LinkedIn as a connection if you request a connection. And they wrote something, it wasn't very nice. It was basically implying that I was trying to fool people. It was not. Yeah, it was like, it's quite it's not a very nice post. So I put it on our Slack group, Slack community, and I said, "Oh, ladies, I think I need your help. Like,
Yeah.
this person's commented on my post. I don't really know what to do." And then everybody like jumped in, and they were like, "Oh, these are your options. You could do this or that." I mean, by the time that they'd done it, I'd written a very gracious reply anyway to the comment, but everybody was very supportive. They were like, "Oh," because basically this person was trying to steal my clients through my post, but by offering them a lower price to what I was charging. that was
Oh my God.
their tactic. And so but everybody was very supportive, and they said things like, which was quite true. It's like, well, if someone wants to pay someone less money, you wouldn't want them to be your client anyway. But also, if they think that that kind of behavior on social media or in business anyway, they're really probably the type of client you want to deal with anyway. So what I'm trying to say is, I could have easily gone through a spiral of, oh, is it me? Am I wrong? Or like, am I not right? But actually, like, everybody there kept me grounded and like, well, no, you do you. Yeah, so, oh yes, I remember. I replied something like, you can probably beat my prices, but my kindness and compassion is priceless. And I left it as that. And then he wrote something else that wasn't very nice, so I've ignored the thread now.
Yeah.
Just left it. But yeah, so it's like that kind of, that kind of support, perhaps, like where someone could probably spiral and think bad things about themselves. But yeah.
Yeah, and have people who know exactly what they're talking to and what they're talking about. Sorry, yeah. Oh, that's so great. That's such a great, well, like, aside from that person's audacity to do that, like, who does that? But
I
yeah.
know. I feel like, yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't know what happened. That person was having a very bad day that day.
Yeah, probably. But I'm glad that you had that community then.
I know.
That's really,
Yeah.
really
I did
cool.
say to them, I was like, "Oh, thank you. Like, little does this person know I've got the
Yeah,
backing of these ladies." So yeah.
that's amazing. And what challenges have you faced or are you facing with this?
What with growing the community?
Yeah.
The challenge is like increasing the reach and the engagement, and and I guess, I mean, for me, it's time as well. It's like time to invest in it and get and like really connect and touch each member in the community, really. And that's why I'm hoping that we can slowly build advocates in the community, and those people are going to help me and Anu like snowball like the growth of this community and make it really worthwhile and what have you. Like, it would be great if, because like everybody's so busy, they haven't had a chance really to share the value that they're getting from the community. And I guess, like, for myself, I know I'm getting a lot of value from it. It'll be great to like get some, like, to hear more stories basically of other people getting value from it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, if there are any posts or anything, please send it to me because I want to read.
Yeah, definitely, I will. Yeah, it'll be great if you can help us get more people in there. And
Yeah, I'll definitely put like in the show notes the link or everything to reach out to you.
brilliant, thank you.
Of course. And was there anything on the contrary that was easier than you thought it would have been?
Oh, I guess like once I get talking to the women in PPC and then I mention about the Slack community, it's actually a lot easier to get people to join it than I thought, because I thought, oh, I'd have to explain it and what our values are and what have you. But actually, most people that I talk to, there is probably some loneliness in the industry or where we work, so that people are craving this. So yeah, that's what I'm trying to appeal to it. Like, come join us.
That's so cool. And is it because we talked about freelancing, but I might be mixing things up. Is it only for women freelancing, or is it for any woman in PPC?
No, any women in PPC, like you've got a corporate job or freelancing. It's quite free flowing, and you can also see the women in the community who within months, like, they yo-yo from one thing to another, so as in a job and then freelancing and back and forth. So I think they're like perfect role models for other people who are thinking of doing the same thing. Like, they don't have to stick in the same job, as it were, if they're not happy.
Cool. And why are you proud of it?
Oh, that's easy. Like, I love the women in the community already. Like, I've got some great examples already of how everybody like will stick up for you or support you. So you can't get, I haven't been able to find that anywhere else. So yeah, be good.
That's so cool. I think that was my last question. Thank you so much for sharing all of this. And yeah, again, I'll put everything in the show notes. So if anyone wants to reach out to Thuha, please do. Is there anything that we haven't talked about during our discussion that you want to share before we conclude?
No. I mean, apart from the women in PPC, like, I am getting more involved in organising the PPC Live UK event. So we do have a LinkedIn page for that. So if that's for men and women, any gender. So yes, so if basically, if you want to connect to other people in the PPC world, then this is a great event for you to come along to.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing all of this. It was so interesting and inspiring, and I really hope that you grow your community.
Oh yes, it would be lovely with your help. That'd be great. Thank you so
Yes,
much.
thank you. And as always in this podcast, the guest gets the very last word, so the mic is yours.
We could all do with more kindness and compassion in the world.